Well, let's get talking very quickly. The gasoline subsidy has been substantially eliminated, and the exchange rate has been unified and allowed to be market reflective. Yes, eliminating the parallel market premium and generating large fiscal and economic benefits. The Central Bank of Nigeria has also appropriately tightened monetary policy and refocused on its price stability mandate, facilitated by authorities' commitment to the end deficit monetization. Although these measures are helping Nigeria's economy turn the corner, inflation remains high, while prices of foodstuff in some cases, or in many cases, have skyrocketed across the board. To support the poorest and more economically at-risk households, the government has been implementing temporary cash transfers to reach millions of households. While these measures were necessary to urgently avert a fiscal crisis and place Nigeria on a stronger development path, they have imposed short-term pressures on households and businesses. Yes, this remains very topical, and we are going to start our conversation today with Mr. Adewale Oyeride, who is the Director General of the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, NECA. He joins me from Victoria Island to discuss this very important topic. Good afternoon, DG. It's good to have you on the show. Compliments of the season.
Good afternoon for having us once again. Compliments also to our viewers.
I think it's been a long walk from January till date. You are a player in the business world, and we've had a series of interactions before now. So let me ask you, at this point, how would you look at these reforms, the firm stance of government, saying no going back, and where we have gotten to at the moment? Many will say it seems like things are turning around, looking at the figures that we see from relevant agencies of government.
Well, thank you once again, and compliment of the season to you and colleagues in the station, and also viewers and the generality of organized businesses. Are things turning around? Are the reforms, are we already seeing the fruit of the reforms? Will things be better in 2025? It depends on which side of the divide that you find yourself. But first, to say that the reforms were necessary. I think we were living dangerously as a nation and as a country before now, and those reforms were very necessary to create first some level of shock, to bring us back to the reality of our situation, and then to help us to tighten our belt in the context of the reality that we are not a very rich nation as many had assumed we were. The reforms, the monetary reforms came with their shocks, and the forest liberalization also came with its own shock, which we believe progressively we should start seeing some level of stability. The forest subsidy removal from last year also came with its own shock across board, which also affected household income. The tax reform continued to generate its own controversy. The national minimum wage conversation started in January, and in July, the president signed 70,000. Power issues remain fundamental to organized businesses, and the introduction of Band A, Band B, and Band C also came to create its own dynamics and to further squeeze organized businesses. So, are we seeing the real outcome of the reforms now? Maybe not, but do we have silver lining at the end of the tunnel? I think so. Will things get better? We think things will get better, but we have to go through this difficult process of first understanding the reforms. Secondly, allowing government itself to understand the reforms and reposition itself to make adjustments where necessary. Because as one of my mentors said, he said, you can't pass, it's better to be inconsistent sometimes than to persist in error. So those areas, those part of the reforms that have not worked, I think it's the opportunity is also for government to review those areas that have not worked, deepen consultation and collaboration, and then we'll move in trajectory of growth in 2025, pardon me.
It's going to be very interesting to highlight some of these notable challenges that you think needs intervention. And one of it that I've heard is cushioning the effect of the fallout of these reforms. Now, in your thoughts, which have you identified as a prominent member of the business community, and what solutions are you preferring?
We think the forest liberalization still needs some element of review, because currently, for many organizations that are deeply involved in importing inputs, dollar still remains the king. You still have to buy your input in dollars, and the higher the rate of purchase of dollars, the more difficult it is for you to produce competitively. So that is an area that we think the government should look at, should try and tighten or expand the supply side. If you don't increase the supply side, then there will consistently be issue of scarcity, which will continuously distort the real value of the naira. Another area that we think government should take a critical look at is the contradictions. And these contradictions are quite massive in the context of the regulatory environment. While we are talking about ease of doing business, you see how regulators still playing the role of undertakers. They don't really care whether a business survives or not, provided they can fulfill what they termed the objectives or the raison d'etre of those regulatory authorities. We have regulators slamming millions and millions of dollars on a business that is almost dying, not looking at the consequences of the business closing shop. So the regulatory environment still remains a very difficult environment. While we have escalated our concern to the relevant ministries, and the ministries and the ministers have actually given us their words that they are going to do a thorough review. And part of those outcomes were actually the PEBEC regulatory forum that was inaugurated by the Vice President earlier in the year. But quite a lot still needs to be done for the regulators to actually understand that their primary role is to facilitate businesses and not to become undertakers for businesses that are already stuttering. So those two key areas, forest liberalization and then the reform in the regulatory space, will play a major role in helping businesses to navigate to the path of growth, even as we approach the year 2025.
Now, purchasing power is something that is also very, very key. And we see state governments in their budget talking about the 70,000 minimum wage, where some are even increasing it. We've seen states doing as much as 80,000 and all of that. We know the position of the private sector also regarding this. So basically, what impact do you see this having in 2025 if properly implemented?
Now, for the private sector, and kudos to the private sector, really, notwithstanding the challenges, the private sector have taken the gauntlet, and many operators in the private sector are actually paying over 70,000 as we currently speak, which also fuels the increase in the purchasing power, in the disposable income of the average worker and then the household. But fundamentally, if the real issues are not addressed, then the 70,000 or the 80,000 or the 90,000 will also be less in value than what each ordinary should buy. And the fundamental issue is this: we need to fix the multidimensional issues that are facing the economy. We need to fix the interest rates, need to be tempered down. We need to address the issue of inflation. We need to address the cost of doing business, as it were. Because if you don't do that, pay a worker 150,000 as minimum wage. The high cost of goods and services will negate the value of that 150,000, and it will bring it back down to the level that you are running away from. So while that is being done, I think the fundamental issue we need to take care of is take care of the economy, let the economy become much more productive, let it become much more competitive, and let businesses, let them breathe so that they can continue to produce and help to expand the GDP of this economy in a very, very definitive and faster rate.
DG, before I let you go, because this conversation, we know that the private sector faces a lot of challenges at this particular time. And this is the Christmas season where a lot of production. People are supposed to be buying and a lot of buying and sellings and all of that. So how has this affected productivity? Now talking about the reforms, the fallouts, and all of that. And do you think that, let's project first quarter 2025, what will be your expected outlook?
Well, with the new budget, with these imperfections, we are expecting some level of economic activity to take place. Security takes a top spot. We are expecting that the armed forces, commendable work the armed forces have done in reducing the incidence of insurgents that we used to hear every now and then. I think with security issues being addressed, we have the potential to also address the food inflation that have made the average Nigerian to suffer with the context of cost of food. So with the budget being coming on board, and with government taking more proactive steps to address these critical issues of forest liberalization, it was expected that the Dangote refinery up to today will enroll a new price regime in the price of petrol, and the Port Harcourt refinery also coming on board. While we've seen a sample of price adjustment here and there as a result of market forces, but we think more reliefs, more definitive reliefs will help Nigerians across board. While palliatives will play their role, I think what we should focus more on is those definitive interventions that will help the business to remain sustainable, to remain competitive, put more money in the hands of the average Nigerians and the household, and then that will help this economy to kickstart in a faster rate in the trajectory of growth. Without overflowing the issues, the regulatory challenge that we currently face, we also expect that more definitive actions will be taken to rein in some regulators. As I said, it's becoming worrisome, becoming embarrassing even to the investing community, to local and global investors, what is happening within the context of those regulatory environments. But kudos to the ministries, kudos to the heads of some agencies that are pro-business and are doing everything they can to make sure that businesses survive and this economy grows.
You touched on the tax reforms, and I want us to wrap up with that very important topic. Yes, I see the smile. There's been a lot of back and forth with regards to that. And of course, Mr. Tawo Idile has maintained that this is for the betterment of Nigerians. It's to address all of these shortfalls and all of that and get more revenue for government. Do you have a position with regards to this?
You know, there was an engagement between the chairman of the committee, Tawo Idile, and the organized private sector last week, where he also enumerated those issues. He said the committee is not contending with anybody, but they're just giving clarifications where those clarifications are needed. The organized private sector was represented, or were represented in the committee by the Secretariat of the OPS. And it will surprise you that many individuals that are making comments on the work of the committee, many haven't, probably. They've not seen the report. They've not read the submissions. So I think the first thing first is for us to agree, build a consensus that do we need a tax reform? Absolutely we do. Will it come without consequences, some level of pain? It will come with some level of pain. Will it be a perfect document? It probably will not be a perfect document, and that is why we have provision for amendments. Several amendments can come in. But we cannot throw away the baby with the bathwater. We cannot continue to do things the way we've been doing it and expect a different result. We cannot continue to feed the cause of a bad situation, and we are complaining about the effects. At the point, something needs to give, and this tax reform that is being led by the Presidential Committee is a very big opportunity for us to start taking a second look at how we have consistently done things that has not worked for us. If there are issues, if there are clarifications that are needed, those issues and clarifications should be sought constructively. But this unnecessary balkanization and demonization of that report of the work of the committee is quite unfortunate. And for this country to go, there will be tough decisions that we need to make. And the best time to make those tough decisions is basically now.
I must thank you, DG, Nigerian Employers Consultative Association, Mr. Adewale Oyenrinde. Thank you so much, and compliments of the season again. I guess our next discussion, God willing, will be in the new year. Enjoy the rest of the year.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.